Okay, so hi and welcome to this video. This video is the first in hopefully a series of videos on learning PHP because um, whenever I'm making the Find Friends series, I was thinking maybe I should have done a Learn PHP series first. So that's what I'm just going to be doing it alongside it, and hopefully this will go well. So first, what I'm going to go over is what PHP is and things. But before you begin this, it's good to know HTML or XML or JavaScript first because they're supposed to be quite similar. But it's not a necessity. You can still learn PHP without it because that's why I did it. So uh, right. So basically, I'll say, what is PHP? PHP stands for PHP Hypertext Preprocessor. It's a server-side scripting language, which means the scripts are executed on the server, not on the user's browser. Which is why you don't need to worry about browser support and things like that. For like HTML, not every browser supports everything in HTML at the moment. It supports a lot of databases. It's open source, and that's all you need to know for the introduction. So, PHP files can contain text and HTML tags and scripts, and PHP files are returned to the browser as plain HTML. PHP files have a file extension of .php, .php3, or .phtml. So, let's get started. So when you're, as I said a second ago, when you're saving a PHP file, that's why I didn't save this one first. So when you're saving it, as you can see, well, you can't because of the video, but there's a load of different file types. Let me see, can I make this smaller? So, as you can see, there's a lot of different files here, and as you can see, if I wave this over of my mouse over PHP files, it says the file extensions you can use. But I'm just going to call this index.php. And in case you didn't already know, index is the default file that users automatically directed to on a website, which is why the home page is usually called index.html. So, not index.html, it's usually called index dot whatever. So now we have a PHP file created. If I refresh here, now we just have a blank PHP file. And it's just blank, the source is blank and everything. So PHP files, to begin, using PHP, first you need to install PHP basically. So what I use is a program called XAMPP, which is here. XAMPP is already running. Okay, so let me see, can I open the control panel? Okay, maybe not. So to get XAMPP, you go to Google. Oh wait, I can just type in XAMPP and I'm sure you'll find it. So just XAMPP, whoops, and as you can see, here's a page, apachefriends.org, and here's XAMPP. So you don't even need to Google for it. So, come on, if this would load. Okay, so here's the Apache Friends website. So as you can see, there's a lot of different XAMPP will run on a lot of different operating systems. And what XAMPP basically is, it's just a bundle. So it has PHP, MySQL, Apache, things like that. So all you do is download it and install XAMPP. I have a video on that. It was the first one I ever made, so you can watch that if you get confused. So once you have XAMPP installed, or anything else like MAMP or WAMP or WinAMP, I think it is. I don't know. So here's the basic PHP syntax. So PHP, as you've seen me in the if you watch the Find Friends series, PHP files start like this. This is a PHP block. And in Find Friends, most of the time I just do that. that is the sort of the shorthand version of PHP tags, so for creating a PHP block, but it is recommended to use that, but it works for me, so I normally don't, but I would recommend to use this. So when you're using PHP, you can't just save PHP into a .html file because it won't work. Anytime you're using PHP, you need to save it, or you need to use it. You can only use PHP in a .php file, or .php3 or .html, whatever. So PHP files can normally contain HTML files, so or tags even. So if I was to create a HTML file, this is this is like the most wrong way to create a HTML file, but whatever. So if I was to say this is HTML, as you notice, it's in a .php file, but if I was to refresh the browser, now it says this is HTML, and now we have that code I just typed. And you'll also notice that if I just write the PHP, create a PHP block, you can't see it in the view source. That's because it's server side and it's not it doesn't run in the browser. So, but if I am to echo this is PHP, don't worry if you don't know what all that echo and thing means. I'll explain that eventually. So if I was to refresh this, all we get is that this is PHP. We don't get any of the other PHP code. We only get the text in the echo. So, which brings me on to my next point. So the first and most basic thing in PHP when you're learning is echo, and echo is just a way of displaying not just text but anything. It's like you can put HTML codes inside, so you could create a div and put it in an echo statement, so it wouldn't matter. So if I was to write this is me echo, I could just write the standard hello world, and if I was to refresh, it says hello world, and we can't see any other code. So the echo statement can also use the single quotes, as I explained, or as I explained sometimes in the Fan Friends series, and it works fine. And you can also use print in PHP. They both do pretty much the same thing, except whoops, just go here. They both do like almost identically, almost the same job, except sometimes people say echo is quicker. You wouldn't really notice it, but if you were and if you were concerned about speed, you should use echo. So when you're using echo, you can also append two echo statements together. So if I was to write this is the first statement, and as you can see, this part is the same as this part, except oh yeah, I should mention that. So in PHP, this every time you do something on a line, so if I was to say echo this, as you notice, I always put the semicolon at the end. If I was to create a variable, put the semicolon at the end. That's just what you do in PHP. You do that in a lot of programming language. It just means you end the line. So if you could do a multi-line echo statement, and you could just do that, and you wouldn't need to write some text, put a semicolon, write some text. It's just if you're using the echo statement on its on a single line or whatever, basically you add a semicolon. It's kind of hard to explain, but you sort of pick it up. You'll realize when you're using functions and variables and things, you'll just know to put a semicolon. So to append two statements together, well, append basically just means add together, so stick onto each other. So basically in a browser, this would look like this. And if I was to put a space first, then I could just say that. So then this is what it would look like in the browser. And the echo statement knows to join these two together because of this dot in the middle. The full stop means to join it together. So if I refresh this, we get exactly what I said. And that brings me on to another thing. In PHP, you can also, if you're doing very big script, I mean, you can use comments, and so if it's complicated and it's big and long, it means you know what it is, and if you were giving it to someone else to do, they would know what it is. So we do this by 2 forward slashes, and then you just put whatever you want your comment to say. So I could just say this is echo. I don't know. And it's pretty self-explanatory because we know this is an echo statement. And so you wouldn't really need a comment in this scenario, but say you add a lot of code, you could use echo, or no, comments. You can also do multi-line comments. So you could say, if you were doing a multi-line comment, all you do is put a forward slash and an asterisk. And then when you want to where you want it to start, and then when you want to end it, you just put an asterisk and a forward slash. It's pretty simple. So if I said this is a comment, you'll notice that comments aren't run on the page, they're just sort of ignored. And see, it's not even in the source code either. Everything in between these two PHP tags are hidden, sort of, unless they're told otherwise, like echo tells it not to hide it. So now you know what a comment is, when you would use them, and you can also use comments just to hide your code. So say you had some code and you didn't want to delete it, you just didn't want it to be run, all you do is put 2 forward slashes at the start, and that's what comments basically do. The forward slash is just, it makes PHP ignore the whole line, which is why well, it ignores that line from that point onwards. So if I put it at the start, it ignores the whole line, but you can put it after the code and it will just ignore from the forward slashes onwards. So if I was to echo or comment that out so you couldn't see it, it's ignored by PHP, and if we view source, it's ignored, so it doesn't get run. So that's it for this first video in this basic PHP basics series, or learn PHP or whatever. So if you liked it, don't forget to comment, rate and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye.